You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your Security Plus certification journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. Data management refers to the full life cycle of information within an organization, beginning with its creation and extending through classification, storage, usage, sharing, retention, and eventual disposal. Each stage of this life cycle requires careful attention to ensure data remains accurate, secure, and compliant with both business needs and legal obligations. For example, a customer record created during an online transaction must be stored securely, used appropriately for billing and support, retained only as long as required by policy, and deleted or anonymized when no longer needed. Viewing data as living assets subject to structured management allows organizations to maintain control over a complex digital environment. Effective data management is foundational to both security and compliance. Without disciplined practices, organizations cannot confidently say where their sensitive data resides, who has access to it, or how long it has been retained. Poor management results in data sprawl, shadow IT systems, and compliance gaps. In contrast, strong data management practices make it easier to fulfill regulatory requirements, such as subject rights requests, and reduce exposure by ensuring outdated or unused data is eliminated. It also supports business efficiency by preventing duplication and ensuring employees can find the right data quickly. Good management practices build resilience and trust, both internally and externally. Classification is the starting point for controlling data. A well-defined classification scheme assigns categories such as public, internal, confidential, or restricted, each carrying specific control requirements. For instance, restricted health data may require encryption, strict access controls, and short retention periods, while internal memos may have fewer requirements. Classification acts as a lens through which other controls are applied, influencing how data is stored, who can access it, and how long it is retained. By classifying data systematically, organizations prevent sensitive information from being treated casually and ensure resources are allocated where risks are greatest. Master Data Management, MDM, builds on this concept by ensuring consistency across applications and reports. MDM centralizes key datasets such as customer, product, or financial data, harmonizing them across multiple systems. For instance, a customer's address stored in the CRM, billing, and support databases must all align. Otherwise, inaccuracies may cause failed deliveries, compliance issues, or degraded service. By synchronizing data centrally, MDM improves both efficiency and defensibility, ensuring that reporting to regulators or executives is based on accurate, unified data rather than fragmented or contradictory records. Tagging and metadata strategies further enable automation and searchability. Metadata data about data can include tags such as confidential, retention, 7 years, or PII. These tags allow automated tools to enforce policies without manual intervention. For example, files tagged as containing financial data might automatically be encrypted and restricted from external sharing. Metadata also improves search, helping teams quickly identify relevant datasets during audits or investigations. By tagging data accurately at creation or ingestion, organizations set the stage for automated compliance, minimizing the reliance on manual review and reducing human error. Data lineage and provenance provide visibility into where data originated, how it has changed, and where it flows. Lineage answers questions such as, where did this dataset come from? Who modified it? Which reports rely on it? Provenance provides assurance for auditability and dispute resolution. For example, if regulators question the source of financial reports, organizations can trace numbers back through lineage to the authoritative systems. Lineage also helps identify whether personal data flows into analytic systems where it may not belong. Clear tracking of lineage and provenance strengthens defensibility and operational confidence. Data access governance ensures the right people access the right data for the right reasons. It answers who can access what, why, and how access is provisioned and reviewed. For instance, a payroll system should only be accessible by HR staff with a legitimate need, and access should be reviewed quarterly to confirm it is still justified. Governance involves provisioning access with approvals, enforcing least privilege principles, and conducting periodic reviews. Poor governance leads to privilege creep, where accounts accumulate access over time, creating compliance and security risks. Strong governance turns access from a vulnerability into a control point. Encryption at rest and in transit are default technical safeguards for sensitive data classes. Encryption at rest ensures that stored data is protected if systems are compromised, while encryption in transit protects data moving across networks. For example, financial records in a database may be encrypted at rest with AES 256, and customer transactions transmitted securely using TLS 1.2 or higher. By making encryption the default rather than the exception, organizations create a baseline safeguard across sensitive datasets. Encryption not only meets regulatory requirements but also demonstrates diligence in protecting individuals' data. Retention and disposal controls tie directly to business, legal, and regulatory drivers. Data should only be retained as long as necessary, then securely disposed of. For example, customer transaction data might be retained for 7 years due to tax requirements, then destroyed through certified secure deletion. Retaining data indefinitely increases both storage costs and compliance risks, as more records may be exposed in a breach or subpoena. Strong retention and disposal practices align compliance obligations with privacy principles, reducing unnecessary exposure while ensuring legal obligations are still met. Data stewardship assigns clear responsibility for managing data. Data owners are accountable for datasets, ensuring compliance and accuracy. Data stewards support day-to-day governance, often monitoring metadata, access, and quality. Data custodians manage technical infrastructure, such as databases or storage systems. For instance, HR may own employee records. A data steward may ensure classification tags are applied correctly, and IT custodians ensure systems are patched and backed up. Assigning these roles prevents ambiguity, ensuring data responsibilities are distributed across the organization with accountability embedded at each level. A practical starter exercise demonstrates these ideas. Choose one dataset, such as employee payroll records. Document its classification, confidential, the data owner, HR director, and the retention policy, 7 years after employment ends. Identify where it resides, HR system database, backup servers, and describe access controls, restricted to HR staff, reviewed quarterly. This simple documentation exercise reveals both strengths and gaps. Perhaps backups lack retention enforcement, or access reviews are overdue. Documenting one dataset fully is a concrete first step toward building comprehensive inventories and embedding compliance into daily operations. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Data cataloging tools accelerate discovery and support compliance tasks, particularly for privacy and subject rights requests. A data catalog provides a searchable index of datasets enriched with metadata such as classification, owner, and retention policy. When an individual requests access to their data, the catalog helps quickly identify all relevant systems. For example, catalog queries might show that personal emails reside in the CRM, marketing platform, and archive storage. Without cataloging, discovery may take weeks. With it, compliance requests can be fulfilled efficiently. Catalogs provide visibility, reducing the chaos of sprawling data environments. Automated enforcement through policy as code ensures consistent application of retention, masking, and access rules. Rather than relying on manual processes, organizations codify rules into automated workflows. For instance, a retention rule might be implemented as code that deletes customer records after 7 years across all storage systems. Masking rules could automatically redact sensitive fields when data is used in development environments. By embedding compliance into automation, organizations minimize errors and ensure that rules are applied consistently across dynamic, cloud-based environments where manual oversight cannot keep pace. Periodic attestation of data ownership and access rights maintains hygiene. Data owners and stewards should regularly confirm that their datasets are properly classified, retained, and secured, while access rights are justified. For example, each quarter, owners might attest that only authorized HR staff retain access to payroll systems. Over time, these attestations prevent privilege creep and confirm accountability. They also create an auditable trail showing regulators that data management practices are actively monitored. Attestations turn governance from a static policy into an ongoing cycle of accountability and verification. Third-party data introduces additional responsibilities. Organizations must ensure that processors and vendors handle data according to the same rules they themselves must follow. This includes enforcing contractual clauses for deletion, requiring proof of compliance, and verifying that processors support subject rights requests. For instance, if a payroll provider retains copies of employee data, the organization must confirm that retention schedules are enforced. Managing third-party data is not optional. Regulators increasingly hold organizations accountable for their vendors' failures. Incorporating processors into data management plans ensures end-to-end compliance across the supply chain. Data segregation is particularly important in multi-tenant and regulated environments. Segregation ensures that one customer's or business unit's data is isolated from another's, reducing the risk of cross-contamination or accidental exposure. For example, in a cloud environment, encryption keys and access controls can ensure one tenant's healthcare records remain inaccessible to another. Regulators often demand segregation as proof that sensitive industries, such as financial services, maintain strict boundaries. Segregation strategies protect both compliance posture and customer trust by ensuring data remains properly partitioned in shared environments. Anonymization and pseudonymization are valuable strategies for balancing analytics needs with privacy protection. Anonymization permanently removes identifiers so that individuals cannot be re-identified, allowing data to be used freely for analysis. Pseudonymization replaces identifiers with tokens, reducing risk while retaining the ability to relink data under controlled conditions. For example, healthcare data may be pseudonymized for research, allowing re-identification if needed for follow-up treatment. Anonymization offers stronger privacy but less flexibility, while pseudonymization offers operational utility but requires strict safeguards. Understanding these trade-offs ensures data can serve business goals without violating privacy obligations. Testing and validation after data migrations are critical to preserving compliance. When data is moved to new systems, lineage, classification, and access controls must transfer intact. For example, migrating customer data to a new CRM requires verifying that encryption settings, retention rules, and access privileges remain correct. Without validation, migrations may inadvertently strip protections or create compliance gaps. Testing ensures continuity of governance and prevents hidden risks from emerging in new environments. Migrations are high-risk moments, and disciplined validation prevents them from undermining compliance programs. Metrics provide visibility into data management maturity. Useful measures include the percentage of data inventoried, completion rates for access reviews, and the number of incidents tied to data misuse. For instance, an organization might report that 95% of critical datasets are cataloged, but only 70% of access reviews were completed on time. These metrics highlight areas needing attention and create accountability at governance forums. By turning compliance into measurable outcomes, organizations can track progress, report to executives, and demonstrate improvements over time. Metrics make data management concrete rather than abstract. Governance requires clear roles and cycles to keep data management practices fresh. Catalog owners must maintain inventories, review cycles should ensure data classifications remain current, and policies should define how new data collections are approved. For example, before a marketing team launches a new campaign, Governance policies may require classification, lawful basis documentation, and registration in the data catalog. Governance ensures new data flows are not created without oversight, embedding compliance as a prerequisite to innovation rather than an afterthought. Integration with risk and compliance registers ensures that data management is linked to organizational priorities. If a dataset is repeatedly flagged for incomplete access reviews, it should be logged as a risk item with remediation actions tracked. Similarly, systemic weaknesses and retention enforcement may appear as compliance register entries. Linking data issues to registers ensures they are addressed with the same discipline as other risks, rather than remaining buried in technical silos. Integration closes the loop between discovery, governance, and action, embedding data management in enterprise risk processes. Ultimately, effective data management turns compliance from a checklist into an operational practice. Catalogs, segregation, anonymization, and automation ensure data is managed deliberately rather than haphazardly. Governance assigns responsibility, metrics create accountability, and integrations connect data issues to enterprise risk frameworks. A simple but powerful step is to fully document one dataset, its classification, retention, ownership, and controls, and then automate one rule, such as retention deletion or access restriction. These practical actions scale into broader programs that make compliance not just aspirational, but enforceable, measurable, and resilient. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.